It's reflections in high definition and closing so close. Touching like two tattooed testimonies. See, we gravitated our minds in orbit around our hearts. We gravitated our minds with our hearts in orbit around our souls, creating our own solar system in just 7 cosmo minutes it's lit. Bright night skies from constellations of our initials with clouded fine print whispered, "What are we doing?" From her lips, questions of what is this possessed her breath, begging me to take it away. And like a big band on Saturday Night Live, I always do. I always groove, blending her blues with my heartbeats boogie till we bruise passion purple, dancing our sorrows away. Where the drummer can't keep time, cause time stopped 2 songs ago, and saxes always seem to go flat around her natural hair and even sharper tongue. See, I remember the beginning. The beginning was always musical. So that's the first one of the series. This second one, I was faced with the task of performing at one of my friend's wedding. He got married this summer. So give it up for like married people. Woo! That's cool. What month? They got married in, I want to say late May. Yeah. So he told me way ahead of time. He was like, "Hey, I want you to like really do something that would be cool for the wedding." And I was like, "All right, cool." Like I didn't think about it. I was like, "All right, cool. Yeah, I'll do that." And I really don't like writing about like love, really, because when you write about things like that, when you read poems like that, they're like super fabricated and they're not exactly the most honest things. And I don't like creating like this falsified image of somebody and they're really not that way. You know what I mean? But for the purpose of the wedding, I did that exact same thing. So my brother was like, I asked him, I was like, "Man, what do I do? Like, how am I supposed to do this?" He was like, basically, make them feel like they're more in love with each other than they actually are. And I was like, cool, I got you. So, before I knew your name, before bittersweet nothings were just sweet, my tart mouth spoke sour faces into existence. After biting the rotten fruits of my labor, see, I ate myself into food poisoning and worked myself sicker over all the wrong things, for all the wrong people. See, I found myself lost in places I once called home, but before the first time you called, I found home in your voice. Solace in your inflection, decorated living room, cleansing in your bathroom articulation. See, you crossed every toothbrush, tea, and dotted intimate eyes that pitch enrichment in your kitchen instrument left me content. With those waterbed tones sent hurricanes down my spine. And that pretty brown eye of your storm is a young man's paradise love. Didn't you know that before I knew your name, my world orbited in the hammock of your cotton smile, handpicked by God himself, cheeks tied to the willow branch, wrinkles by your eyes. See, I knew the softness of your lips before hard knocks found you. Knew they tasted of fresh rain on a Sunday morning before you even said hello, before I said hello. I was an only child in my approach, intrigued yet apprehensive still, unwilling to have your attention divided, but we shared this undeniable connection. Our eyes played double dutch from across the room. I felt my eager heart jump in the middle and dance like fresh-legged toddlers, excitedly taking their first steps in life. Our eyes met like long-lost twins for the first time. This strange familiarity, this unbroken bond of once broken hearts, we focused like microscopes, trying to spot the most intimate parts of each other no one else has ever seen before. But I saw, and when I did, my boyish charm couldn't help but make me wink. Actually, I got this eyelash in my eye, so like the wink I'm referring to is more like this nightmarish itch. I was rather embarrassed, but to my liking, she was charmed nonetheless. And so she laughed. But before she laughed, she smiled, and before I saw her smile, she blushed enough to make up for any cosmetic desire, to cover up some imperfection. I grew to love her for it anyway. Voice be Sugar Hill sweeter than the Harlem Renaissance. Dressed fashionable enough to make any room her vogue. The brightest centerfold with constellation teeth. Mouth be a carefully carved crescent from planetary perfection. Even when we mock the apocalypse in an attempt to implode her happiness, she still manages to smile after the world has given her every reason not to. So what reason could I possibly have not to get on bended knee and ask that infamous 4-word question? Will you marry me? Before the self-consciousness, before the doubt, before the cold feet, before the first time she called, before we said hello, and before I saw a smile. I stood before her and felt everything before I knew her name. So that's that. So now, so love came to me one night, awkwardly, stumbling into my life like a drunken deadbeat, bearing an empty bottle of spite, openly apologetic eyes, and a fistful of regret. It came with subway train tunnel vision and dreams bigger than the city that killed them. Had a bent split for a smile, broken beer bottle teeth on this billboard face full of false advertised promises to make my world go round, and a virus for a heart. It made me sick, but I let it stay and watched it one night stand my needs, abusing this open door weakness of mine, siphoning everything good I thought I knew about emotions. See, I grew to hate the very thing everyone sent search parties to find. I couldn't understand why something so sacred, so divine would want to hurt me and make it look like an inside job. See, I wasn't working on myself anymore. Hired to keep this parasitic relationship alive, but couldn't even manage my own happiness, let alone recognize my own face on missing person postcards stamped with my return address, stripping down to insecurities every night. Made for this life-threatening exposure to an ultra-toxic dependence, this bond, forged from fantasy, but bound to tragedy. Everything told me to leave, but you can't tell a demon to stop following you. It haunts like plagues, attacking your anxiety, attacking your complexion, marking you with the beastly blisters that brand your story with ungodly blemishes so noticeable. Everyone can't help but ask, but you'll always, always hesitate to tell. So yeah. Poem real quick. I was going through like a lot of like self-doubt. Like I didn't really know what my purpose was supposed to be. I was doubting everything I was doing. So naturally, I wasn't feeling well, about myself, about life in general, right? So all of those feelings were going on for like a long time, like years on end. And then like almost 2 years ago, or about a year and a half ago, this past summer, not this past summer, but the summer before this past one, I was on the way to Dallas, and we were going to step practice with my fraternity brothers, and my back tire kind of like popped. And this is like right before you get to the Louisville Bridge. So I'm trying to pull over because, when you get to the bridge, there's nowhere to pull over, right? So I'm headed towards the wall, and my like wheel kind of locks up. So when it locks up, I'm trying to like get it any kind of way to like just graze off of it so we don't come head on. So I managed to turn it a little bit to where we like bounce off a little bit. So we like head toward the wall like 30, 35 miles an hour, right? So we bounce off and we end up sliding underneath a semi-trailer. I didn't realize that until out of nowhere it got dark. It was like 5 in the afternoon. So we hit the wall, I look up, it's dark, all I see is wheels coming up around like above the car. So I just look up, shake my head, close my eyes, and that was it. I thought I was dead, right? It's me and 3 other people in the car. So when I like opened my eyes and came to and realized that like I did like a little roll call, made sure everybody was good. We all like crawled out of there, and like the car was like this literal like metal ball. Like there's no way, if I show you pictures, I'll probably just pass it around so y'all can look at the pictures. If I show you that, like there's no way you would think anybody got out of that, let alone 4 people. So I took that as a sign that like I have a purpose and I have a reason to be here, partially to like share my story with y'all. So I say all that to say this poem, and I wrote this shortly after that. Just to add to it, 6 months after that accident, one of my friends from high school was in the same exact type of wreck, but he didn't make it out, and that was really, really hard for me to reconcile with. So I wrote this really, really shortly after that happened. I wish you could see yourself.